officially start this event. Okay, so hello everyone. Welcome to the Alumni Sharing Series, Patient versus Product, Comparing Pharmacist Roles in Direct Patient Care and Industry. Okay, so first of all, before we start the event, here are some housekeeping rules that you should take note. Okay, so first, please ensure that your microphone is muted unless it is required to avoid interruption and also to ensure a smooth flow of the event. Second, please make sure that you have a stable internet connection throughout the session. Third, during the sharing session, you may submit your question into the Q&A box and we will be addressing them to the panelists in the Q&A session later on. So as everyone can see on your Zoom sidebar or the bar below it, you can notice there's actually two chat boxes. So first is the normal chat box and second is the Q&A chat box. So for any question, please submit to Q&A chat box instead. Okay, so fourth, the name of the panelist should be indicated if you wish to ask a question specific to that individual. And last, if you wish, you may also raise up your hand during the Q&A session later on. And once I had cue you, you may unmute your mic and ask your question. Thank you for your cooperation. Okay, so now we'll straight away proceed. So let me have an introduction of myself first. So my name is Jetting and I'll be your moderator for today's session. So it is my pleasure to welcome all of you to this event organized by School of Pharmacy, Taylor's University. So before we dive into today's discussion, let's have a quick look at our agenda for this session. So we'll be beginning with a warm welcome and event introduction by Dr. Jason, and followed by brief self-introductions from our esteemed panelists. And then we will transition into our sharing session, where our panelists will dive into the key topics of the day. And last, finally, we will conclude with an engaging Q&A session where you will have the opportunity to interact directly with our panelists. So before we proceed, another gentle reminder, remember to keep your mic mute unless it is Q&A session. Okay, so now without further ado, let's begin with our event introduction by Dr. Jason. Dr. Jason, the floor is yours.
Yeah, thanks, Jetting. I won't take up too much time. So first of all, just thanks to everyone who has been involved. Thanks to Jetting and thanks especially to the seniors, the alumni, who are willing, to take time off from their busy work. I'm sure you all know now that, working is very different compared to studying, right? It's very tiring. So being able to do this on a Friday night, we thank you a lot that you can give back to the juniors, your juniors, all right? So why we do this essentially is because life is about choices, right? For the juniors, your first year, you are going to make a choice of what complementary study you're going to do. Are you going to do extension in industry? Are you going to do a minor in something else? For your seniors, your choices are going to be when you graduate. Some of you are going to graduate very soon. It's going to be a choice of where you're going to do your PRP, what pathway you're going to take. And then even after you start your PRP, your FPRP, you are going to make choices again, right? For those of you that go into the Ministry of Health, you will know that at some point, many of you will have to consider, do I need to leave, right? For various reasons. Some of you may say, what is the best way for me to progress my career? And so you have to make these choices. So in life, it's very hard to make 100% right choice. I think it's also, there are very few very wrong choices. But what the best we can do is just to make the most informed choice that we can. And then whatever comes. Even if things don't go 100% our way, normally we can always course correct, or we can make other choices to improve on our situation. But the main thing is we want to make well-informed choices. And that can only come if we, do our own research, but also gain experience on others, right, who have gone through the same path. So your seniors here basically have all gone through many of the thoughts that you all are going about where they should go their careers and all that. So they are here to share their experiences. All of them have worked in a patient care setting before, means they've worked in hospitals and community, but all of them have transitioned into industry now. So why industry particularly that Taylor seem to focus on is because I do think Taylor has good ties with the industry. And the second thing is, I feel that given how competitive it is in Ministry of Health to get permanent posts, even in community, I think there's no problem getting jobs. But I think having industry as an option, especially with the diversity of the roles that are there, there's so many different roles that there might be a role that really suits you that you're not aware about. So that's where we need this sharing for you to make these informed decisions. Okay, so with that being said, I hope you'll have a fruitful session. Remember that all of us here are Taylorians. So This doesn't have to be formal. The way we are doing it among the panelists also is more like a chit chat. So don't feel shy. All these are your seniors. They are ex-Taylor students as well. So don't feel shy to ask your questions. Okay, back to you, Jiting.
Okay, thank you, Dr. Jason, for your insightful talk. Yes. Okay. So now we'll proceed to meet our panelists. Okay, so as everyone see on the poster, you can actually know what's their name, what's their title, but there is nothing much more interesting that we have the panelists to introduce themselves to us. Okay, so let me just go through briefly. So today, we are honored to have Manyan, Rainer, Janice, and Isaac with us. Okay, so first, maybe we can start with Manyan. Yeah, the floor, I pass it to you.
Okay, thanks Dr. Jason and Jeteng for inviting us over for this alumni sharing series. So hi all my juniors. Okay, I'm sure most of you don't know me, so I'll just have a brief introduction about myself. So I entered Taylor's around August 2016 and I graduated in 2020. So in January 2020, I joined Taylor's PISA program for an internship in Abbott under the marketing department. So I did my intern for around 2.5 months, and that was when COVID hit and we were suddenly in the lockdown. So it was a very unexpected ending to my uni life because I still remember spending the last day of my uni alone in my room doing the final exam on my laptop. Yeah. And also because of COVID, the PRP posting for government hospital got postponed, it got delayed. So I did a part-time job at Health Metrics as a claims assessor specialist. Then in April 2021, I got my PRP at Hospital Sungai Buloh. So as you all know, Hospital Sungai Buloh specializes in infectious disease, and it was the main center for COVID-19. So I gained a lot of experience being one of the frontliners during the pandemic. So after 1 year of PRP training, I got my FRP posting at HTAR Klang. So I'm sure a lot of you will know about this hospital because we usually have our hospital attachments here during our university. So at HTAR, I was an inpatient pharmacist at KRIBA, which stands for Complex Rawatan Ibu dan Bayi. So I'm mainly in charge of wards covering ONG, pediatrics, and NICU, which stands for Neonatal Intensive Care Unit. After completing my 1-year compulsory service, I'm currently a Roche Patient Assistance Program partner. Yeah, I think you can go on to the next slide. Yep, so just sharing some photos from my uni life. So you can see here that we had our hospital attachment together. It was very tiring, but good old days. And the bottom picture here is the industry attachment we had at Duo Pharma for sterile department. So the second picture on the top, it's during my internship at Abbott with Isaac, my Abbott buddy, and he'll share more about his experience with all of you later. And the bottom is me, the picture of me and my design at the booth during the ENT Summit for Doctors. And you can see the pictures over there are pictures of the hospital, my hospital experience. I made a lot of good memories and good friends there. And it was quite an eye-opening experience for me because we got to see those diseases that we learn in lecture notes in real-life cases, and we got to apply our knowledge in real case scenarios. And finally, I'm back into the industry again at Roche. Yeah. So now I'll pass on to Rainer to share more about his experience.
Hi everyone. Hi, my name is Rainer. I was a senior for Manyan and Taylor's University 2015, and I graduated in 2019. So throughout my 4 years journey in Taylor's, I had the opportunity to intern with different pharmaceutical company by the program PISA. So later I will show you all some pictures. So right after my graduation in 2019, I joined Blackmore's Malaysia as a short-term marketing assistant. Then after that, unlike Wan Yen and the others, I choose not to go to government because I do not want to wait for the posting. So I decided myself to go into the private hospital, which is a Thomson Hospital called the Damansara. So in private hospital is quite different from those government hospital because the exposure wise is different because private is more focused on different kind of medicines like branded medicine. So it's different kind of experience as compared to government, but in a way that it is also faster and you didn't get to tie it with the government contract and get posting to other places. Then right after my 2 years working in Thomson as PRP and FRP, I have decided to move myself into the industry, whereby I started my career in the industry as a regulatory affairs pharmacist in Zepaso Pattinson in Malaysia. So for the first 6 months of my career in SEPA, I have the opportunity to work in the plant itself at Melaka, in Melaka. So throughout these 6 months, I get to know more about how the drug's being developed from scratch and then how it's being registered and then to marketing. So it's a whole new different experience for me. So after 1 year and 10 months in Zepa, I'm now working in Sandoz Products Malaysia as a regulatory affairs specialist, which is also a different experience for me because it's a MNC perspective compared to my previous experience in plant. Yeah, so maybe JT can move to the next slide. Yeah, so these are just some glimpse of the first role is my time during Taylor's. As you can see, was quite active. I joined like different kind of performances and sports carnival and even No Gaps. I'm sure you guys, I hope you know about No Gaps and also some annual dinner as well. So it was a very fruitful experience throughout my 4 years in Taylor's. And the next role, as you can see, I had the opportunity to quiz, the clinical quiz, and also go to attachment in Ipoh with my friends. We spent about 1 month there, clinical attachment, and also community attachment. And the last two photos, last row was the experience that I taught earlier. I had the opportunity to attach with different pharmaceutical industry during my 4 years experience in Taylor, so which are Pfizer and Blackbox. So now I'm in Sandoz. So yeah, thank you and feel free to ask me any questions later. Yeah, thank you.
Okay, thank you,
So
Raymond.
yeah.
Yeah. So for next, we'll be passing on to Janice.
Hi, my fellow juniors. So it's great to actually, connect with you all again after I left Taylor's for quite some time. So just a rough background about myself. So I actually graduated in Taylor's B Pharm back in 2018. Yeah, that'll be like a very long time ago. So what I did in pharmacy is, other than just, not normal courses like what you've been going through, I quite actively participate in extracurriculum activities. So I've been part of TUPSS as the head of editorial, and also do participate also in others kind of activities outside from Taylor's. So I get to engage with different university, School of Pharmacy in organizing events like No Gaps, MIHS, all this. So, and also I quite like Taylor's actually provide us the opportunity, which is the PISA program. So I get to landed myself in Roche to actually gain some industrial experience, as well as, if I'm not mistaken, there is an industrial attachment back in our uni time where I actually got assigned to Singapore Sunward company. So from there, gain quite a lot of experiences as well. So upon graduated, I actually, while waiting for my PRP placement, I went to Sunway Medical Center as a locum. And then I'm fortunate enough to actually, within 2 months, I got my PRP placement in Hospital Banting. About 1 year plus later, I to further extend my FRP, I actually requested to be placed in a tertiary hospital, which is Hospital Sungai Buloh. So I consider myself lucky because when I enter Hospital Sungai Buloh, it's where COVID hit Malaysia, and also I get to bump into Munyan also from there. So of course, from there, a lot of eye-opening where you're able to manage everything, you know, all the new disease and management, all this in a very national level. So here you're actually able to gain more in-depth skills and knowledge as well as experiences from there. Then I actually got a permanent position, but then due to personal reason, I resigned from KKM and I entered into my first private sector, which is the community pharmacy as a pharmacy branch manager, or AKA as a pioneer in setting up the whole pharmacy from scratch. So in there, I actually gained a lot from entrepreneurship, business, marketing, procurement, and a lot more from as a business, the new business setup. Then in order to expand further, I want to see the business in a much more bigger scale. So I actually go into Caring at the time, which is the Malaysia biggest or largest chain pharmacy, to actually further my professionalism as well as business knowledge. Then about 1 year plus, I get an opportunity for a commercial role, which with a much more global exploration, which is where I am now in GSK as the external and expert engagement, or known as a healthcare engagement specialist. Yes, that's all. And can you have me? Thank you. So here is all my great memories in Taylor. So back then I'm a TUPSS member, and also organize a lot like No Gaps event and my HS public health campaign. And the bottommost left one is the one I actually did the industrial in Sunward, Singapore. And then I did my PISA program with Roche and also got an opportunity to actually participate in a clinical pharmacy competition. And also some fun and shy things to talk about, which is doing a performance during the gala night. Yeah, so that's all from me. So I pass on to Isaac. Thank you.
Hi, everyone. Good evening. I think first and foremost, allow me to just introduce myself. I'm Isaac, Medical Science Liaison from Boehringer Ingelheim. First and foremost, I'd like to just express my appreciation to the School of Pharmacy of Taylor's University and to TUPSS, as well as Dr. Jason for extending this invitation to me to share my thoughts and my insights of the industry on this platform. Well, like the rest of the panelists here, I was a student here in Taylor's University in 2016. And from the year of 2016 to 2020, I did quite a number of things. But in terms of career-wise, I was a pharmacist assistant in Big Pharmacy for a period of time. And I did my internship in Abbott Laboratories with Munyan as a marketing intern. Soon after graduation, COVID hits, and as MCO eases down, I decided to work as a pharmacist assistant in Essen Plus Pharmacy. Was there for a short period of time while waiting for my PRP placement. And once I got my PRP placement in Hospital Pulau Pinang, I was there for 2 years and 6 months. And there was where I did my compulsory service as well. And that's what you call it as a full registered pharmacist, FRP. So was there for 2 years and 6 months. And at that period of time as well, I was also working as a pharmacist assistant in Alpro Pharmacy. And you may call it as a locum. After 2 years and 6 months in Hospital Pulau Pinang, or Pulau Pinang itself, I decided to come back to KL. And I decided to take that leap of faith to do sales in Teraju Pharma. It is a local imported company. And I was there only for 6 months before deciding to take another step of faith out of that company to a multinational company, MNC. And here I am, started in January of this year in the medical affairs team of Boehringer Ingelheim. Moving on to the next slide. From the pictures here itself, you're able to see on the top left, it's my time in Taylor's University. There itself, I was actively participating in the extracurricular activities, be it performing, playing sports, organizing events. And I like to just highlight on the fact that I was part of the organizing committee in the sponsorship department, was there as an assistant sponsorship department, and subsequently I became the head of sponsorship department, and I'll tell you more about it as I would explain in the further questions. I was also one of the moderators there, and I did some emceeing. And moving on to the middle picture, it's a picture in Thailand. It's the students, this group of students did come to Malaysia as part of the student exchange program. But my batchmate and I, Billy and I, decided to go to Thailand and to pay them a visit this time around for personal reasons. So that's the picture of them. On the right-hand side, as you can see, it's a picture of my time in Abbott Laboratories. And perhaps if you look closely, it's Manyan in the picture. To the bottom, 3 pictures. On the bottom left, you'll be able to see my time in KKM, Hospital Pulau Pinang. And on bottom right, you'll be able to see a picture of me with my colleagues in Boehringer Ingelheim. So it's a team comprising of my colleague in Singapore and my team leader, the one in the middle. It's a small team, I would say. So that being said, since I'm representing my medical affairs team, I would need to cover Malaysia as a whole, and that requires a lot of traveling. And I'll tell you more about it as we dive in deeper into this session. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Isaac and Janice, for your really nice introduction. So I believe that most of our students are able to know you guys, how you guys spend your time in Taylor's, and how do you guys really enjoying your study life and extracurricular activities at the same time. Yeah. Okay, so finally, it's time for our sharing session with all of our panelists as well as our students. Okay, so for panelists, as we move into the sharing session, so for later on, I'll be asking the question and directing all of them to each of you in turn. Okay, so you guys can just answer in turn. And let's say if you have any additional insights to share or wish to elaborate on that statement, please feel free to unmute yourself as well. Okay, so without further ado, let me straight away start with the first question. So I believe I can unshare a bit so we can look at your face nicer. Okay, just a while. All right. Okay, so let's start with the first question. Okay, so first question will be very simple and very easy. It's a warm-up question. So what is your current role and what is a typical day in your working life for now? Okay, so maybe we can start from Manyan first.
Okay, so as mentioned just now, I'm a Roche Patient Assistance Program partner. Okay, so in Roche, the main medication, we specialize in oncology and rare diseases. So usually for oncology and cancer patients, the patients would need to go through multiple cycles to complete their treatment. So we have this called Patient Assistance Program to help to improve access of medications to these patients by reducing their financial burden. So for example, we have schemes like buy one cycle, free one cycle. So not all patients are eligible for this patient assistance program, so we need to screen through the patients. So one of the criteria is that the indication needs to be registered in Malaysia. So what I do is when I receive the enrollments from oncologists, I would need to screen that it's the correct dose, frequency, and indication. And if everything's right, then I'll proceed to enroll the patient. And after that, I'll move on to cycle management. So I'll help the patients to manage their treatment records, and I'll also coordinate and communicate to the patients whether is it the next cycle is a paid cycle or a free cycle, so that they can also make the necessary arrangements and plans for their upcoming cycles. On top of that, I also handle appeal cases from patients. So for example, like a patient may come and say, hey, my insurance coverage is exhausting soon. Is there anything that Roche can help up with this situation? Or for example, the patient might be switching to another regimen due to adverse drug reactions. So we need to report this to the pharmacovigilance team. So I would say that my daily role, I deal quite closely with pharmacists and patients virtually, on a day-to-day basis.
All right, thank you, Manyan. Yeah, I think because this position is not really like existing in every company, but only specialized to Roche. So yeah, that's why we might need to know more from you.
Yeah, sure.
Okay, so thank you, Manyan, for your explanation. Okay, so perhaps next we can proceed to Raynard.
Okay, hi. As I mentioned earlier, I'm currently a regulatory affairs specialist in Sandoz. As I'm not sure whether most of you guys know, before the medication marketed go to the market and supply to patients, we need to get the product registered first. So what we do is to get the product registered. So in order to get the product registered, we have to record it dossier. So this kind of dossier is like the birth certificate and like how you prove the identity of this drug is safe to patient and efficacy as well. So as a RA, we need to dossier and then see whether is it suitable to the regulatory guidelines in Malaysia or even other countries, because even different countries has their own regulation. So we need to know what other, maybe Malaysia has different requirements compared to Singapore. So as a RA, we need to understand all the regulation between countries. So when we receive a dossier, we must also check how is the drug being made in the manufacturing site, and is it or any impurities or any other other things that is going to harm the body. So after that, we compile all the dossier and then we submit to the health authorities, and then we do a lot of communication with the health authorities. So unlike those very front end role, as a RA is a quite back end, and it's a very supportive role, because we mainly deal with a lot of authorities and other stakeholders, like maybe commercial. They need to decide what are the molecules to be launched in the market. So we then decided we have the opportunity to also take part in decide what is the currently molecule that is quite like very important nowadays. So that's why we also have the opportunity to decide what the molecule to be launched in the market. Apart from that, we also need to maintain the life cycle of the product. Our job doesn't stop after the product get registered. So after the registration, there are a lot of like variations, like suddenly there are some manufacturing equipment change, or even like some specification change in the drug. So we need to submit the variation, evaluate the dossier, and then submit the authority again. So it's a lifelong journey until the product get registered or decided not to launch anymore. So my typical day of life will be involve a lot of communication, but not physical, more towards virtual. We do it a lot of by emails. And yeah, we basically like act as a middle point between the stakeholders like business and also towards the health authority. So yeah, basically checking emails, follow up emails, attend meetings. Yeah, so this is what I do for every day in my life. Yeah, thank you.
All right, thank you, Raynard. It is quite interesting to hear from regulatory side, because previously I was having intern, but it's in marketing, so it's totally different thing that I never heard before, even from my intern friend in regulatory department. Yes, thank you, Raynard, for your sharing. Okay, so next let's pass to Janice.
Hi, my current role is actually a healthcare engagement specialist, or widely known as the external expert engagement. So what I do is, I will be engaging with the global or international healthcare professional expert, can be professor, consultant, anyone, and also or healthcare organization for varieties of global events, like, for example, your congress, your publication, symposium, speaker engagement, advisory board. So basically what I do daily will be, I will be involved in the whole engage process. It's like I'm the middle person in which I will need to understand about the nature of the event, which we call it as a business. I need to understand the nature of the business by actually liaising with the business owner, which is like the event organizer, where they engage with different kind of expert, in which I need to prepare a contract and also make sure the expert that we are engaging, expert or organization that we are engaging, is very specific to the professional or organization requirements. And of course, important to be aligned with our own company code of practice or any relevant like written standard policy, and most importantly, with a country specific regulation. So in a much more general, like within this department, we actually got subdivided into each other based on country. Certain people, they will be very specific to one country. For example, like they're very specific to Korea event or Singapore event. But for my role, when I enter, I actually in a much more vast coverage, which they call it as an above country. Above country meaning is like, I give an example, engagement currently is, I have a Singapore business owner. They are engaging an event in Hong Kong, a symposium event in Hong Kong, but inside the event, I will be engaging 12 experts from 12 different countries. So for that one event, I need to prepare 12 different contracts, and each of them, I need to make sure I align with like US regulation, Japan regulation, Philippines, Hong Kong, Singapore, based on the nature of that event, as well as the background country from that speakers there. And then from there, I will, after engaging the event, like make sure everything compliant. If they are not compliant, so I will be the one that need to advise them what is not compliant. And also I will work together hand in hand with the legal team or the upper compliance team to make sure everything is correct. And also at the same time, they are paid appropriately or they call it as the honorarium fees for them. So even after the event is actually passed or something like this, so there is some continuous process after we need to make sure that they actually perform their services and everything is correct in align to all the SOP and everything, and then only we close up and only they can actually allow the payment for the expert. Yeah, that's basically. So in a much more simple way, it's like for regulatory pharmacy, you all understand is that they like make sure everything comply based on the item. But for me, will be more compliance for the services for the event. Yeah, so basically that's it. Hope that you all have some insights and context. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Janice. Perhaps a curious question from my side, because you have to deal with 12 countries, different bosses, right? Like, how do you manage with 12 of them?
That is based on time management already. But that
okay.
time it's like not only 12 engaged, at the same time from another country, like for instance, Japan, they wanted to engage for one more event. It's like one shot, my hand, I will be holding about five or more events, and each event will have different number of experts, can be 12, 10, based on the nature of the event. Some can be a very simple like speaker engagement. I just need a one-to-one advice, can be a global event, or can be just like GSK internal advice from the experts so that they have some insight to actually develop a medicine or something like this. Yeah.
Wow. Okay,
Yeah.
okay. So in your case, time management is really the key to success, right? Okay, yeah. Everyone, please take note, time management, okay? Okay, thank you, Janice. So next,
you.
let's pass on to Isaac. Yep.
Okay, wow. Thank you for sharing, Janice. I think it's interesting to hear this particular role, healthcare engagement specialist. Okay, from my end itself, I think it's better for me to just describe these three things before diving deeper into what my typical day is like as an MSL. I think the three things that you need to know as an MSL is that the first is that we gather insights pertaining to the therapeutic disease, regardless whether it's about diagnosing or managing the disease as a whole. The second part is that we are needed to disseminate clinical information, basically to provide updates about clinical data to the doctors. As mentioned, regardless it's about the disease or even about a drug even. As long as you're providing updates to the doctors, they are very appreciative of that. And these doctors are not the typical doctors that you would see in a normal clinic or a general practitioner. They are in fact specialists, consultants, or head of departments or head of services in Malaysia, or they are the head of the special group of interest in Malaysia as well. So they are all very much scattered across Malaysia, and I would definitely have to meet them across Malaysia. So these are the services that we do provide to them, disseminating clinical information. Because ultimately, they do not have the time on their plate to, in fact, get updated with these informations. And we have that particular resources and time to do it. So we are doing it for them, and they would definitely love it. The third part is that we collaborate with these doctors, be in their initiatives, on their events, conferences. We are there to engage with them, to support them wholeheartedly, as long as it aligns with our therapeutic area. For my therapeutic area that I'm responsible for is pulmonary fibrosis. So anything that is pulmonary fibrosis related or interstitial lung disease, then we will definitely engage with them. Apart from these events that we collaborate with them, we do support them in their investigator-initiated studies as well, IIS. I believe you would definitely encounter this as you were to study regulation. But these kind of studies that doctors are currently participating is what we do support as a company as a whole in their particular studies, because we do believe that this would definitely bring an impact to how the disease is being managed in Malaysia. So these three things is all you need to know about MSL: gathering insights, disseminating clinical information, and to collaborate with doctors in events and their studies. What my typical day comprises very much differs week to week or day to day, because as mentioned, I am required to travel quite often. So week in, week out, I'll be flying quite often. But ultimately, to put it simply, regardless of where I am, I will start off my day reading on emails to just making sure things are being done, and I'll plan my day accordingly. And throughout my day, I'll carry out these particular three things which I've mentioned earlier. And my typical day will roughly end about 5 p.m. It's quite nice, but ultimately, after dinner and whatever things you need to do in the evening, you will definitely have to get back to work again, because the day during the entire day, in fact, you don't really have much time at your hands, and you really need that time to summarize your thoughts, to plan things, to think of ideas of what initiatives that you would like to contribute and to suggest to the doctors, and that can only be done at night. So, and your further readings as well, because as a medical science liaison, you have to be updated with the clinical information, and that can only be done at night. And all in all, what I'm trying to say here is it requires a lot of an effort, despite the 8 to 5 job that the pharmaceutical industry expects of you. And it requires a lot of effort and passion coming from your end, especially being an MSL in the pharmaceutical industry. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Isaac. Yeah, I think I really have a better understanding on MSL right now, because I used to have a concept of MSL is the most closely related position to pharmacy in the pharmaceutical industry. But now I can kind of feel like it's quite different from what I have thought, to be honest. I didn't expect I have to travel so many times. Yeah. By the way, thank you, Isaac. So yes, that marks the first question. Okay, so let's start with the second question. Okay, so as mentioned by Dr. Jason and your introduction just now, all of you guys actually did PRP or used to work in roles with direct patient care involved, which include retail pharmacy and also hospital. So what makes you decide to switch to industry? So maybe we can switch a bit. Maybe we can start from Raynard.
Oh, that's a surprise. Okay. Yeah. So, okay. After 2 years in my hospital, right? So I realized things gets a little bit repetitive for me. So, yeah, I wish to do something different. So, that's why I decided to step out my comfort zone and then go into pharmaceutical industry. So being in pharmaceutical industry, I think it will be more challenging because it all have offers diverse opportunities. Like you can work in different departments, like just now, as what Isaac mentioned, MSL, or even like very specialized, like each different companies has their own specialized role, like what Janice and Manyan's doing right now. So different or even different therapeutic areas, like maybe you've got different molecules of to be covered, like what sales or even MSL. So I think being in the pharmaceutical industry will be quite different, and you can learn so much things being compared to what I previously done in hospital or even in the community. So, and I also changed my career aspiration throughout. Then that's why has led me to my current role right now. Yeah.
All right. So the main thing that you suddenly have the mind is because of the repetitiveness in hospital, right?
Yeah, correct.
Okay, noted on that. Okay, so maybe next we hear from Isaac.
All right. The job that we do, I believe, has to be a reflection of our own values and our own character. For my case, particularly in the hospital setting, I do know that I need to equip the fundamentals of a pharmacist, to know the basis of a pharmacist, really. because getting a Bachelor of Pharmacy and not having that experience in the hospital setting seems odd to me. So I decided to take this once in a lifetime opportunity to work in KKM. And to me, I feel as I was working there, I knew that my time there was going to be short. I know after my compulsory service, I'll definitely dive into the pharmaceutical industry. So in KKM itself, my character, I believe, was there to just inculcate good values and to see the good side of human nature. Because at the end of the day, being a pharmacist is a noble thing. And I would like to just dive in that side of character. After having that experience, I realized that the job is very much repetitive. And that's when I was rather determined, pharmaceutical industry it is. And I took that leap of faith to dive into the pharmaceutical industry, and I've never regretted it. The values I've mentioned earlier on, it's to have a good heart in serving patients, and that has really been established in the pharmaceuticals in the hospital setting. And that could also be applied in the pharmaceutical industry as well, as you facilitate in the accessibility of these medications. And your character in terms of being outspoken, being able to articulate well, being independent and wanting to do things much differently and to have an impact in the industry, that I believe can be achieved in the pharmaceutical industry. I do understand as well that this can be done in other settings as similarly, but to me, I believe my character fits very much in the pharmaceutical industry. And hence I decided that, you know what, I'm going to contribute more by working in a multinational company. And I believe the impact there is going to be insurmountable. So here I am in BI.
Wow. Oh, thank you, Isaac. Yeah, so it's quite, I mean, I can actually kind of conclude from currently Reynard and Isaac from what they mentioned. There's a common point, which is repetitiveness in hospital, right? So maybe let's hear from Manyan. Is it the same case for you, or perhaps you have different opinion on that?
Okay, so for me, right, actually during my uni times, during the attachment, like during my internship, when I did it at Abbott, when I did the intern, I felt like I'm really interested in the industry and I already know that I want to be in the industry in the long run. But because of COVID, right? So during our final semester, we didn't get the opportunity to complete our hospital attachment in the hospital itself. So I was thinking of gaining more experience in the hospital through PRP and FRP. After gaining the clinical experience, then I'll dive back into the industry where I can also contribute to patients, where in hospital, we contribute to patients directly, but in the industry, we can contribute to patients in a broader scale indirectly. Yeah. So
Oh, okay. So for your case is that you feel like you hope to have a way to deliver more benefits to patients.
yeah.
Okay. Yep, thank you, Manyan. Okay, so next, let's have Janice.
Hi, so why I changed? Okay, I think I'm the most different compared to the other three panelists. I like hospital actually. So when during my uni time as a student, even though with a PISA program and all the experiences, I being very clear that I like clinicals, I like the patient management and everything, so I landed myself in KKM first. So after 2 years round, I really agree with what Isaac and Reynard said. Everything is very repetitive. But for me at that time, my personality and character-wise, 50% I can accept because I enjoy the, doing PCI care plan, like wow, so nice. And then 50% of me, I don't feel nice because I feel like, I want to do this until I'm old age, like everything's so repetitive and everything. And then even though with the COVID experience and everything, you will started to feel like a bit limitation for my opportunities because at the time we are all contract. Then I landed myself with a permanent position, but I was being assigned to Sabah, in which due to personal reason I don't want, so I resigned. So when I think back now, I think I make a best decision, I resign. Because if without resigning, I enter into the community and inside the committee, I work like a entrepreneur like this. I set up the whole pharmacy. Imagine the shop is empty, but I set up the whole thing from empty until the racks and everything. I did all the all the regulation, legal stuff, how you register the business and everything. So these experiences actually opened my eyes that, oh my God, actually there's a bigger world outside of just pharmacy. So in a very niche answer, like why I decided to where I landed myself now is because a very niche answer would be I want to expand my horizon and skills. I wouldn't say that inside a pharmacy field like hospital or community, you cannot learn leadership, management, communication. You can learn, but it's just that you are always surrounded by the circle of people with science background. No matter what, when you communicate, they can understand what. But when you expand yourself to industry, you are actually dealing with different people, different background, different education level, different ways of working. When you come out to industry, you will start to know that actually different people, their ways of thinking to solve an issue will be so different from a science background. They are much more creative. They are much more bold in making decisions. So I feel like entering into industry really like a very good opportunity to actually really expand your skill in a much more bigger scale because you're dealing with different stakeholders. Yeah, that's all for me.
Wow, thank you, Janice. Looks like you're so excited to explain how your transition from from hospital to caring
Yes,
and then
yes.
to
Yes,
industry
and then
right now.
imagine like every day I deal with different country of expert and business owner. So the way of how they deal, the way how they talk, they present themselves, which I don't think this one can be learned in a pharmacy. If like if pharmacy in terms of like hospital-based kind of pharmacy, yeah.
Yeah, understood. It's not that every day you can meet someone from French and then USA, etc., etc. Okay, thank you, Janice. Yeah, okay, so let's proceed to the next question. Okay, so for this, what is the most interesting, or I can say any different parts about your job if you are comparing to pharmacy career like hospital and community? Because all of you are in industry right now, right? So is there any interesting part or different part if you are comparing? Okay, so for this time, let us start with Manyan first.
Okay, so what I feel very interesting about the industry is that we get to deal with a lot of different stakeholders, like what Janice mentioned just now. The people in the industry is very diverse, all from different backgrounds. So not only internal stakeholders, external stakeholders as well. There are a lot of difference. Whereas in the hospital, we mostly deal with healthcare professionals. And also, I feel that in the industry, we have more authority to make decisions and implement changes. So for example, like in the industry, we need more critical thinking and problem solving to generate ideas. Whereas in the hospital, we also require those skills. But for example, like the problems or questions that we might face that's most usual is, for example, what is the best management for the patient or what is the best dose for the patient? So usually those questions, right, it can be searched or there's like a guideline that we can follow. So there's an evidence that we can base on. Whereas I feel that in the industry, it's different where you really need to think of your own ideas and come up with them. So I feel that that's quite interesting for me.
All right, thank you, Manyan. So are you enjoying the problem solving part?
Yeah, sometimes, yeah, gotta use the brain every day.
All right, thank you, Manyan. So next, perhaps we can ask Janice.
Actually, I quite agree with Marianne because to me, the interesting part is, in pharmacy, like hospital and community, everything when there is a problem to solve it, how you just find citation, you find research, everything is, you solve the issue with just one straight line from A to Z. That's all, one straight line. But then when you are in the industry, you need to think of like different ways you can actually reach that solution with a different kind of approach. That's, I think, is the most challenging thing when you need to think of a new idea, how you're going to solve this. So in terms of like, not just solve your kind of your job related issue, but when you have this kind of mindset, when you're able to solve things using your own way or different or new ideas in terms for your own outside of working, your own personal life as well, you're able to see things differently. I felt that that's why I felt like not only develop your own career, that career itself can actually develop your whole own personal in terms your like how you see things, problem solving and everything. Yes, because you are dealing with different people. So different people, when you are dealing with them, you both are like exchanging knowledge and ideas, all this. Yeah, that's what my thought, like interesting part about this career in industry.
All right, thank you, Janice. Okay, so next, maybe we can hear from Isaac first.
Okay, I think there are two parts to this question. I think if we were to just touch on the interesting part, I believe I'll touch that out later. But I think mainly the difference is that in the industry itself, similar to what you do in the pharmacy setting as an MSL, is that we engage with these doctors. But the answers are very much two-dimensional. There's a specific approach that we just answer, as mentioned earlier on. It's just provide one line, one citation, and that will solve the entire issue. But being an MSL, it requires more than that. It's rather three-dimensional. You would definitely have to know their social style, because the way that these doctors receive information are very much diverse, and it varies person to person. So the approach is very much three-dimensional. But I think if I could just summarize it entirely, and also to just instill the interesting part of this particular job, is that this job requires a lot of traveling, and that is the fun bit of all. If you love traveling, this is definitely a job that you would like to consider. But of course, the frequency of traveling depends on companies. But traveling is one of the aspects that is interesting. But the main differences here now is, and also the interesting part of this is, the decisions that we make brings a certain impact and magnitude, especially the management of this disease in Malaysia as a whole. Able to recognize this brings so much more of a value and responsibility that you need to uphold, because your decisions would shift the landscape of how this is being managed. Because these doctors that you are constantly engaging with, as mentioned, they are not the general practitioners, they are the head of services. You working with them closely, you having to make the decisions, and you having to disseminate this clinical information to other doctors will have a direct impact to how the disease ultimately is managed in Malaysia. So having acknowledged this is ultimately the interesting part of being an MSL in the pharmaceutical industry, compared to a career in a hospital or in a community setting.
All right, thank you, Isaac. Maybe I just have like one curious question from myself, because you mentioned that you are able to see the impact of what you are doing to like the disease progression in Malaysia, etc. Right? Let's say for a hospital, I do understand that it might not be visible because we are just like counseling the patient and other stuff. But let's say for retail, do you think is it able to see the impact if compared to industrial?
I think it depends all on skill. Being in a retail setting, you're working as a frontliner. You are constantly engaging with your patients, or you call it as customers, right, in the community setting. The feedback you receive are rather quickly. They're able to tell you, oh, this particular supplement helps in reducing inflammation. The feedback is rather instant. But the thing is, the scale is rather small. It's only catered to one particular patient. And if you tell that to your community, then it's only the community scale. But whereas in the multinational company, the approach is very much large. You are collaborating with these doctors in organizing conferences and events, and you are disseminating clinical updates there and then. The impact is vast because they are all prescribers and they are all specialists there as well. So having that message being received in the conferences, and since they are also the decision makers, the scenario changes entirely. So the impact is much greater in that sense, as mentioned earlier.
All right. Thank you, Isaac. Okay, so last, maybe you can hear from Raynard. Yeah, your turn.
Yeah, okay. So I think the very obvious difference between hospital or community and also to the industry is like we are not in the front line. We are not the one who directly facing the patients, but we are now more on back end, dealing with different people. Especially my role, regulatory affairs, is like a very back end, and people might not be noticing. So, but we do things quite differently compared to what we did in hospital. So because hospital, you maybe just like mainly two person, like maybe patients or even doctors. But in like industry, you get to work with different people. Like you get to work in what supply chain or marketing, business development, or sales. So all sorts of people, like what Jenny said, like you get to know what's their thoughts, and you get to like pull out a bit from your daily scientific kind of thinking, but you get to know how's their perspective in building of this one. So it gets me a really different kind of thinking that maybe I can really solve this thing differently and hear more opinions from the others. So and also being in the pharmaceutical industry also you get to collaborate with more like international projects, collaborate with colleagues in different countries. So which I think is a very unique and enriching experience. So what most interesting part in being in the industry is that I think it offers more flexibility compared to what I previously worked in hospital, even community. So yeah, and personally, you get to like adjust more work-life balance compared to what you previously did in hospital and community. Yeah.
All right, thank you, Rainer. Yeah, so I think from this question, what I can kind of conclude is that for industrial, I would say there's no such a way that you must follow this, you must follow that. Of course, you have something you have to follow, but it provides you a space, the opportunity to think with different perspective and have more way to execute it. Yeah. Okay, so following on, let me just maybe I will direct this question to Rainer. Okay, I think it's specifically for you. Okay, so actually a lot of our juniors and my seniors, which including me, most of us don't really interested or don't really want to enter regulatory affairs or take the electives that is related to regulatory, because we think that it is quite similar to the pharmacy law, which we have, like in our year 3. Yeah, we have the law, is it LEP, yeah, law, ethics, and practice, yeah, including all the poison acts, dangerous drug act, etc., right? So do you think it is that closely related to this kind of law? Because somehow this law might make us feel a bit trauma because we study so hard, then we have to read like the two to three books. I have to flip so many pages, etc. Yeah. So do you think, is this concept true, like really closely related, or it is actually totally unrelated and totally different? Yep.
Yeah, okay. So first of all, I'm not sure what's the electives regulation of pharmaceutical is going to be like, but from what I understand now is very, very different from the pharmacy law. If the pharmacy law is the law exam that you guys took, right? Like you need to refer to the book. So the pharmacy laws involve like Poison Act or even what the Dangerous Drug Act. So it's like it's just law, and inside the terms, that maybe some terms, maybe some concept you can get inside this module. But for regulations of pharmaceuticals, I think it will be more involved, like maybe how to register drugs, involve different guidelines set by different regulatories, like maybe FDA, EMA, MPRA, or HSA in Singapore. So I think it will be more involved towards like how the drug being developed, being approved, being manufactured, or even labor, post-marketing. So compared to the law part, which is like just law, like you have to do this and that. So it's very, very different. I think can be not so repetitive and not so boring, because a lot of people may say that RA be quite boring because just like doing paperwork or anything. But I think as an RA professional, we can find it very dynamic, because the regulations is always like changing. You cannot really just stick on one regulations or requirement. So you have to like really get yourself into interpreting into different kind of regulations across different countries. So yeah, which can makes you even more diverse and able to know problem solving skills. So yeah, I feel like regulatory, is not that boring as what public think lah. So because it involves a really different task compared to what people think. Like we not only just preparing for regulatory submissions, we also like collaborating with cross-functional teams. As I mentioned, we can get to select some molecules which are going to launch. We can give our opinions, or like we can go to conference, a regulatory conference, and exchange on the can maybe give some impacts on what we think that from the industry perspective, and also to the healthcare authorities. We can do some impact so that maybe can let the products or even the medicines to be approved faster or something. So it's quite a challenging and dynamic role. And I think it will be quite engaging as well. So yeah, don't be afraid and come to regulatory affairs. Yeah, that's what, if those who are interested, welcome.
All right, thank you, Reynard, and yeah, thanks for the promotion as well. Yeah, so basically in regulatory, I think at least if you haven't taken pharmacy law, you might not really know what is this about, but I hope that just now from what Reynard has explained, give you a better insights for it. So next, I think I will direct this question to Janice. Yeah. So for Janice's case, it's a bit special because from what Janice has mentioned just now as well, she enter hospital and then go to community, which is more like commercial, and also at the end entered to more business oriented, which is currently in MNC. Yeah, so how do you eventually get interested in this role? And as you mentioned, you are really interested and like hospital as much, right? So like out of a sudden, what do you think you're interested in this role?
I will start off with, yes, I like hospitals. So what actually pulled me out from the science field is because I get to experience the business side in a community pharmacy. So after that, inside the community pharmacy, I started to feel, why should I lock myself within Malaysia? You know, I want to think like, hey, actually I can engage with a lot of people. Why should I, no matter how I expand, I will be just Malaysia, unless the community itself is very international, which is impossible for chain pharmacy. Yeah, they might like Watson or Guardian, but then for you to actually be part of that will need a little bit of time. So that time I actually saw, I see there's a host of this healthcare engagement, and also I have some friends inside like this field. So I actually asked them about this role and what do they do. So what really like gained my interest here is that even though it's a very different from pharmacy field, and also we are very quite specializing in terms for like, engaging people, you need to make sure everything in compliance, and also you need to do some administrative stuff or all this thing. But then from each of this thing that you are doing, you're able to learn a lot of different things, like how you're going to communicate with people when you're engaging with them. So when you are engaging with them, you need to make sure you know all the contract compliance. So here comes your pharmacy skill, your precise and concise. Like I feel like it's not very far away, still able to, like cope. And then in terms for administrative stuff like this, so you're able to, further expand and see how they actually, organize the event in a much more bigger scale. And the event is not just like normal event. You're able to organize a symposium, a congress, where all the experts from around the world, they are sharing their knowledge, all this. And then also the most interesting I like is because you're able to get like a global involvement here. So sometimes when you have meetings with all of them, you're able to exchange knowledge with the business owner, with the consultant, all this. So I find it very interesting here. Yeah.
All right, thank you, Janice. Then do you think that like us pharmacy students, that once we graduate, we become pharmacists, do you think does pharmacist actually suitable for commercial role? Because we might not have any exposure before, even after we graduate, we might not have exposure to it.
Yes, we got no exposure to it. So if you're asking if pharmacy suited for commercial role, I will say everyone will be suited for commercial role as long as your own personality-wise, you're open to learn, you're open to explore, I think no matter you're a pharmacist or what, you are actually suited for commercial role. Yes. Actually, when you are very open up to learn, not really like constrict yourself into your own field, or I won't say that specialization is not good. Specialization bring you up the career ladder. But then when you're very open up, you look at career in a much more lattice, like opportunity, flexibility wise, then that's how I think you're okay to cope with commercial role. And you know, like industry,
yeah.
there are a lot of sources to actually can help you there. They can actually like very open a lot of trainings to help you to actually grow one. So no worries.
Yeah, they provide a lot of learning opportunities
Yes,
with
yes.
different aspects. Yes, yes. True, I do
Mm.
agree on that. Yeah, thank you, Janice, by the way.
Thank
All right,
you.
so next, perhaps I'll get to Isaac first. Okay, so as Isaac, you mentioned, you already interacted with physician when you're in KKM hospital, and now medical, you deal with a lot of different experts, which is also considered physician. Okay, so do you think the dynamic of interacting with them is very different, or is actually more or less the same?
All right. The dynamic of it, I think, is very much different. But I think allow me to just state the similarities first before differentiating them. In my current role as an MSL, I think, as I reiterated earlier on, it's very much similar to what I do in KKM. As a DIS pharmacist, being attached there during my PRP time, being a clinical pharmacist for a short period of time, and ultimately being stationed as an outpatient pharmacist. The things that we do are very much similar in a way whereby we answer medical inquiries, we provide clinical data a little, after the medical rep has gotten back to us, then we provide them the clinical data, we convey that information to them, we provide them alternatives in treatment, advise patients, give advice to doctors even, through the medical inquiries. So they are similar in that sense. However, as mentioned earlier, the approach is very much two-dimensional. And this is what I would like to just dive into a little. The approach is two-dimensional is because the approach in the multinational company is three-dimensional. What do I mean by three-dimensional? You have to know the social style of the doctor. There's a lot of things to consider. It is much complex. And by social styles, I mean, depends on company, to just bear that in mind. Social styles could be either you're amiable, analytical, you're a driver, or perhaps you're an expressive. And the way that you approach these doctors are very much based on this. Just to give you an example, if the doctor is a driver, this doctor wants to get things done, and you are there not to beat around the bush, you are there to deliver the core message. And that's that. If the medical inquiries are being thrown to you, you are expected to give him or her a direct answer. If the doctor is analytical, he or she would like some data, and that is how you should approach it. And these social styles and identifying it and to approach this in a three-dimensional manner will help you to carry out your job descriptions well. The three things that I mentioned earlier on, right, to gather insights, to disseminate clinical information, and to collaborate with them, you will need to know their social styles because ultimately you are working with them. Despite not being in the same company, you are collaborating and working with them. And to ensure things are being done smoothly, you will have to approach it in such manner, a three-dimensional manner. And these are the great dynamics that you can actually identify. And it's what I see in the hospital setting and also in a multinational company. And I believe ultimately with these approaches, right, what's particular skills I believe you can in fact inculcate, it's being able to be outspoken, being able to articulate your thought, your words well, being able to translate what you think into words in a manner whereby it's understandable, and ultimately being able to present things well, it's a key important factor. And to just quote the head of medical affairs of my company, I had a talk with him during lunch period, and I asked him about this as to the advice that I would like to provide to my fellow juniors. It's that communication is very, very important. Having to master that as a skill is a crucial thing in the multinational company. So communication is the utmost importance, and that is a reflection to the social styles I've mentioned earlier. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Isaac. Perhaps, can I ask more for the social style? Like, are you able to identify what this doctor is when you first talk to him? Like, do we need to have that analytic skill, like how to see the doctor as well?
Good point. So it's either through feedbacks that you got from your other colleagues, or if your first time meeting the doctor, your first interaction is definitely, you'll be able to grasp it already. Just to give you an example, hi doctor, my name is blah blah and so on. I'm here to discuss this. But before that, doctor, how has your weekend been? Doctors wouldn't entertain such questions anymore. Yes, what do you want? These doctors are drivers. They want to get things done. Analytical, doctor, this medication is able to improve the condition of this patient. What is the data then? How many percentage? For what particular trial? What particular citation are you referring to? These doctors are very analytical. If their doctors are expressive, doctors will beat around the bush. Doctors will tell you how great their weekend is, how great their life has been. They'll talk to you about their children, their family, their great vacation, their hobbies. These are expressive doctors. Or perhaps I am a good representation of that. I'm rather expressive. And there are doctors who are amiable. Whatever you want, I'll provide it to you. I like to be friendly. Amiable are sort of like that. They are very friendly. Okay lah, whatever lah. You just ask anything. I'll suit to you. So these are the characters that you can actually see quite vividly upon encountering them.
All right, thank you, Isaac. Yeah, I think I definitely learned from this. It's quite interesting, I would say. Okay, so last I guide this question to Manyan. Okay, so for Manyan, as mentioned, your role is a bit specific to Roche, right? Okay, so do you think that you will be staying in this similar role in the future? Or do you think that is it easy for you to move from this role to another role? Because other company might not have this role existing. So do you find it hard, let's say, if you really plan to move in the future? Yep.
Yeah, you're right. So for this patient assistance program, like from what I know, Roche is the only pharmaceutical company that has its own in-house patient assistance program team. So usually for other companies, they might sub out to third party to help them to manage these programs. So to be honest, I'm also not too sure what holds in the future. But for now, what I know is that recently there's a new app launch. There's a new project that I'm handling actually for this patient assistance program. So we are trying to develop a new program called Patient Care Solutions. So this app it's an app to ease the navigation of users, especially like patients and healthcare professionals. And we get to collaborate with a lot of different departments like digital marketing, IT, and also the development team from India and Belgium. So I feel that it's very interesting for me. I'm still in the growing curve for this role. So, and also through this role, I gain a lot of transferable skill sets, which I'm sure it's very useful for me to transfer to other roles in the future. So for my role, right, it's more to the patient access, market access department. Yep. So I would be able to venture more into that in the future.
All right, thank you, Manyan, for your insights. I think it is good for you to kind of like plan for the future as well. Okay, so let me ask for, okay, this will be the closing question, I would say. It's a very general question. I think every talk will have this. Okay, so what advice would you give to your junior? Okay, so let's start with Manyan first.
Okay, so okay, my advice to all the juniors here is to always follow your heart and do what you feel that is right. So it's very important to pursue something that you're passionate about, because that way only you can go further. And also, networking is very important. Try to gain as much experience as you can throughout your university experience and also like going for attachments, internships. All these are all very valuable experience, and all these skill sets you can always apply it through different jobs, and also through, like just now what Dr. Jason mentioned regarding the industry module. I feel that that's a very useful module if you're interested to join the industry. So I feel that the juniors can definitely consider this module extension.
All right, thank you, Manyan, for the advice. So next, maybe we can have Isaac.
All right. To put it simply, I think focus on developing yourself, but never lose sight of the end goal. If the end goal is to be in a multinational company of a particular role that you see yourself doing in the future, never lose sight of it. Focus on developing yourself so that you can achieve that particular role. How do you then develop yourself? As mentioned earlier on, networking is rather crucial. I got this job also through networking. And I believe down the road, as well, as you were to join any multinational company, you will need to network a lot. And to have that as a skill is the utmost important. And it's not just that. To get past the front gate is apart from the CGPA. Though it's important, imagine you have 100 plus applicants. And that was for my case as well. The role that I got, there were more than 100 plus applicants. And am I the best? I'm not the best. What got me through the first gate is the one who recommended me in. And that person is from Boring Gringelheim. And I got his contact through networking. And he is from Monash. Knowing him through an event or through a mutual friend got me past the front gate. Regardless of how well you do in your academics, I think ultimately with networking, it surpasses it. And after that, of course, it depends all by yourself. Networking can bring you so far, but the first and the second interview, it all depends on yourself. And this is where you got to develop your own skills, master up your own soft skills. And that comes in the form of presentation, being able to articulate your words well, as mentioned earlier on, being able to communicate well, because there will be role play sessions as well, and being able to present data and therapeutic diseases well is very, very crucial. And that can be done here in this setting, in this platform in Taylor's University, with multiple presentations that you have to do, the complaints, the non-stop complaints that you will have. Why must I do presentations again and again, week after week? Ultimately, this will mold your character, and you are able to fine-tune each and every single time so that you are able to refine it so well. So when you go for these interviews, you'll be just an ease. So that's my advice to you. Focus on developing yourself and never lose sight of your end goal.
All right, thank you, Isaac. It's a really great advice. Yeah. So next, Raynard, maybe your turn.
Okay, what I can think of is like maybe not too afraid to make mistakes, because I think every mistakes can help you grow. And every time you make mistake, you stumble a bit, but when you get up, you will make yourself even more stronger. So I know most of you are maybe in just like year 1 or 2. So the journey is very long, and always keep your option open. Don't really just stick yourself into one option. Explore more. Go to, like, if you don't really know what you like, then go to try all. Maybe you get some advice from your senior, seek some mentorship, and join more different events so that you can know what you really like. Then when you graduate and you really get to the point that you need to choose something, then you will know what you need to do. So after really maybe you land to the job that you want, and always keep proactive and do not stop learning, and like always make yourself, like, keep motivated yourself, be positive. And yeah, it can be challenging throughout the journey. Even myself now also, like, can be a lot of challenge every day. So just keep remind yourself not to be defeated by all the small challenges. So it's okay to make mistakes lah. So overall, it's just make sure that you don't repeat the mistakes, and tell yourself you do well after the long whole day. Yeah. Thanks.
All right, thank you, Raynard. So last we have Janice.
Hi, so my advice for you all. So instead of my current state right now, the advice in my current age, I try to give advices on what I think I will give myself back when I'm in year 1 until year 4 will be always focus on what you are doing right now. Because if you don't really focus on what you are doing right now, which is as a pharmacist, as a student, so because that's your basic you need to do. So other than just focusing, you must always throughout the journey enjoy each and every moment, no matter up or down, just enjoy each and every moment. And also at the same time, don't limit yourself, be very explorative. Like all of us will be actually advising you, networking is very important, really is very important, because you get to know people. When you know that people, you don't know in the future how much like benefit or opportunities from knowing that person can bring to you. And at the same time, you can get like different kind of so-called like advices from them, because upon graduated, everyone will be walking in different paths. So when they are moving in different paths, they are like a free, so-called like a free ticket or a free advice for you when you wanted to venture something new, or a free ticket for you to enter into the role that you wanted to go. And at the same time, yes, other than just explore or networking, I really, as a Taylor's graduate, I'm actually very proud to be a Taylorian when I actually graduated, because that's the moment when you enter into the whole market where you actually work, you get to meet different kind of pharmacy. I would say just like graduate from pharmacy school. Taylor's students is really different. The way how we present ourselves, yes, like what I said, last time we used to complain, why we need to do this, why we need to do that, don't want to do this, why you need to always do presentation, why so many elective you want to do. But actually, after you graduate, you will really like appreciate that time your school actually given you all this opportunity, because without this, they can't build you to be who you are after you graduated. Because sometimes you imagine the whole Malaysia upon graduated, you are like thousands of pharmacists. So how are you going to impress people? There's a thing that you need to be stand out to impress others is through all what you have been through in your uni time. So what makes you different from others? You have the industrial experience. You went to PISA program, so you're able to have like MNC kind of experience. Or when you actually do some event, you get to communicate so the way you present yourself, so it's all very different. Yeah, so we'll be more like focus, enjoy, and be explorative.
All right, thank you, Janice.
I think allow me to just touch on that a
Yes,
little
yes.
as well. I think
Yeah.
with what Taylors do provide as well, with all the workshops, and I believe my PSA and YPC, they do have a lot of talks and a lot of things pertaining to building your character, preparing your CV, and so on and so forth. I believe you can also dive into this particular website, draz.com.my. Dr. Ashar, you just search in on LinkedIn. He does provide workshops as well on this, on how to network like a pro, perhaps to how do you prepare for an interview, how do you even present things well. So these soft skills are provided in these platforms, and I believe you can dive into it. So worth searching for draz.com.my, look at it, and I believe you will never regret it.
All right, thank you, Isaac, for your advice. So everyone, please take note. Okay. So yes, that marks the end of our sharing session. Okay, so now it's finally the Q&A session. So we actually received 4 questions from the floor. So we try to address every one of them so you can actually get your question being answered. Okay, so first, okay, it's from Anonymous. It's okay. So I would like to ask, is it better to study non-scientific knowledge such as marketing or business, or took the extension that Taylor's offered, which is more useful in industrial? Okay, so I think in this case, it's more like, is it taking minor in marketing or business, this kind of non-scientific minor is better, or is it taking extension for industrial is better? Yeah, so maybe I can get this question to Janice.
Hi, meaning the elective in industrial and also elective in, sorry, I missed out.
In marketing or business?
You mean choose either one?
Yeah, it's like which one is better, because marketing and business is more towards non-scientific, right? But
Yeah, let me clarify.
sure.
For the juniors context, right, the seniors didn't have this choice. All of the seniors, all of them, the industrial modules were compulsory. So now the juniors can choose to do an extension, which is regulation of pharmaceuticals, industrial pharmacy, clinical trial management, principles of health economics, and advanced drug design discovery, they choose this, or they can choose a minor. So they can do minor from the other schools in Taylor's, means not we all teach. They can do from the School of Marketing, can do business, can do nutrition, psychology, web development if they want to do coding, anything, photography. Yeah, there's a lot of choices. So the question is, if I go into industry, if I take a minor in business management or marketing, is that more useful because it's general business knowledge? Or if I take a specific for pharmacy extension, like regulations, health economics, which one better? Hard question.
Wow. Actually really depends on what you want. But then when you are doing your student time, you don't know what you want, right? But then if you really wanted to choose, I would say, but can choose both, right? Major and minor, or just choose either one?
Cannot. They have to choose between the extension or the minor. They can take a free electives and mix and match, but they won't be able to complete all 5. Maybe they only got regulation and then they take 1 or 2 business modules. Can also. See, they got so much flexibility compared to y'all. Yeah.
Since the question will be more like business and marketing, which one will be more like I will choose business. I will choose business.
But what about like between okay, to me, I'm going to semi-answer that. I can ask Raynard whether you agree or not. It depends on the role you take. For Jenny's role, I think a business role makes more sense. For Raynard, obviously you're working in regulatory affairs. Wouldn't you agree that you take extension, got regulatory, it makes more sense? If you take, want to go market access, health economics makes more sense, right?
Yes.
Essentially.
Correct. Yeah.
But
I
during
also
their
agree.
time, they won't know what they want. So in terms of like this randomly, if they really wanted to choose, I think really in terms of their interests.
So you're right. That's why we do sessions like this. So at least they will have an idea when you say, oh, maybe they look at
Yes.
Isaac. I want to be Isaac. So, right, so if I want to become Isaac, what do I do, right? That kind of thing. Okay, so I think maybe you move on. So it's 10 o'clock, but we hope everyone, even the alumni, we don't mind, we'll try to extend max 15 minutes. If there's other questions beyond that, maybe I'll just put in the WhatsApp, then you can type your answers out and I'll blast email to everyone.
Yep, all right. I try to address as many as possible. Okay, so yeah, second question. Okay. Are there skills from clinical practice that are transferable to the industry? Perhaps I think Isaac might be more suitable for this question because currently you are in MSL.
Oh, it is. I think especially when you do justifications, right, in CP2 form, right, you will need to provide some data as well. Not so much of a data, but you need to provide some citation. I'm not so sure about other hospitals. For my end itself, you will need to provide some references to it, to provide why you are doing this PCI and why do you have to intervene in such manner. So it's very much similar in the industry as well. For my current role, for me to answer medical inquiries, I will have to provide some data and some citations and references. And for you to word it out well, it requires to have an experience in a hospital setting doing these things, of intervention and having it to be justified. And similarly as well, I think some parts of you doing referencing back in uni, I understand you normally cite this for me as an automated algorithm for your reference, but putting that aside, having to know the fundamentals of how to reference things plays a rather important role in the pharmaceutical industry as well, because you will need to apply it. So yeah, and similarly as well, you having to know that medications have its own adverse effects, and whether is it adverse events or adverse effects, or should you report it? I think this basis of knowledge comes from uni because it equips you well and it sort of teaches you on that.
Okay, thanks, Isaac. I think that kind of related to the next question, because the next question is, would you recommend us, the students, to do PRP in clinical setting first, or straight away go into industry if we already know we'll be in pharmaceutical industry for a long run? So maybe Manyan can answer this question from a different perspective.
I feel that it really depends on what you want. I feel that if you already know that you want to enter the industry, I feel that the experience of PRP in the industry is very comprehensive as well, where you get to rotate in a lot of different departments in the industry, like medical department, RA regulatory affairs, pharmacovigilance, and also the commercial side. So I feel that if you have already set your goal that you would like to enter the industry, I feel it's quite a good option if you would like to dive into the industry straight, because to be honest, it's quite competitive to enter the industry if you don't have much of a basic experience. So if you have completed your PRP there, you will stand a higher chance as compared to maybe like for us, it was pretty challenging for us to enter the industry because we came from a hospital background. If compared to somebody who has already completed their PRP in the industry, they will stand a higher chance than us to get a permanent role in the industry. So yeah, I would suggest if you already set your goal to be in the industry, I think you can just, go for the PRP in the industry.
All right, thank you, Manyan, for your opinion. Okay, so
Welcome.
yeah, no worries, no worries. Okay, so next we have Kathleen. Okay, so hi, I'm in year 1, and as mentioned by Dr. Jason, they will be selecting their elective soon. Okay, so she's kind of curious on what elective that you guys choose during your time at Taylor's University. And when you guys selecting this elective, what perceptions did you have about the pharmaceutical field? And what did you hope to achieve with this choice? So I think it's
So-
compulsory, right? That
Yeah,
time
so this one I
guys
have to
have
semi-answer, then you all can disagree. Your
Yeah.
time, you didn't have that much choice, right?
Yeah.
So you had a couple of languages. So a lot of you took Korean, Spanish also got. Then some pharmacy related one. I think the earlier students had like veterinary pharmacy and got nuclear pharmacy as one of the potential ones, but it was quite rare, I feel. So essentially, juniors, your seniors didn't have much choice of electives. So it doesn't really they didn't get to have to think so much like you all. Okay, so
So
yeah,
Dr. Jason, what's your opinion on this question then?
I think I've made it clear that if you consider listening to all the very diverse roles in the industry, if you think that that is a potential option for you, personally, I feel doing the extension is worth it. Because you still got 2 extra free electives that you can explore other things that you want. The only time I would say some of you know you were going to a community or hospital role, we do have, I pick the people here are very industry driven, but among you all, you have classmates who are very comfortable where they are in KKM and in the community. For those people that they know they are more comfortable in those roles, then yeah, take whatever is your passion. So when students, right, when I ask them to take minor, I recommend they don't take minor that is healthcare related one. I say, yeah, marketing, business, web development, going outside what you're comfortable with. That's what I advise. Okay,
Dr. Jason,
yeah.
do correct me if I'm wrong. So apart from the extension and minor, there's also electives after that.
So they have to take 7 elective modules in total. 5 of them were combined to be an extension or minor. Another 2 is free, whatever they want. So they can take their Korean, whatever lah. Some students, they can also choose to take these 7, mix and match whatever. Not got cosmetics, got what, yeah. Another thing they can do, they can spend 1 semester overseas. If they give up the extension minor, they can actually spend 1 semester. We have students now in Czech Republic, in UK, Japan also got. So fun, yeah.
So
Wow.
For
fun.
a pharmacy course as well?
Yes, for
Wow.
pharmacy course.
Can we get a refund and do it
Wow.
again?
Do it again.
Yeah.
So yeah, the seniors can see lah. So this is how honestly we, as we develop the program, we make it better and better. Obviously with your help and all that lah. Okay,
Who's the program director this time round?
I'm the program director.
Oh, that's why. Oh, okay. Oh, that's so biased.
Yeah. Okay, so that answers Kathleen's question. Let's quickly go through the others. Jatin, go ahead.
Okay, sure. So next will be, do you have any tips for social networking? How do you handle studies while at the same time joining so many events in order to network? Maybe Raynard, you can answer for this.
Raynard or Janice?
Yeah, Raynard or Janice, yeah.
Okay, time management is very important, as I mentioned. So, yeah, I think it's also very important to have like companion lah. So during your uni time, you get to know a lot of friends and your peers. So peers influence is very, very important. So when your friend going to join this event, so you tend to like want to like have fun with them. So this is what I experienced during my uni time. So for the first like 1 to 2 years, I was very like I just want to study only. Then after that, I started to feel like I should really like go to explore more. So then I have a group of friends. Then we joined the QPSS together, and then have some fun during the QPSS and organizing events, and even like join the performances. So I think apart from like usual study, yes, we need to study, but we also need to like take a break from the usual busy journey and get relaxed. Like time management is very important. This is what I can give some advice to my fellow juniors. So time management, and do not stress out by the study. Just when you play, you play while you can, and study hard and play hard. Yeah.
All right, thank you, Rainer. Okay, so maybe the next question I think can be passed to Janice, because it mentioned that is it means that after a lot of years I'm doing community pharmacist or hospital pharmacist, I will still have chance to go to industry?
My answer very direct, a bit difficult. Very true answer, very difficult. Difficult in the sense that you are actually, because industry already very, how to say, very difficult, or so-called the kind of market, because industry is not only pharmacy going to enter, other field of school of people also going to enter into that same role. So the person that you are going to so-called fight with will be a lot more difficult. So when you are doing your community, or even when you are planning to go to industry, make sure you have your own certain timeline for that, because other people, they, for example, depends on what kind of role you're assigned. Like for example, if you're going for MSL role, then pharmacy will be very stand out. But if you're going for much more commercial role, like for mine, then will be a little bit difficult, because I got no background. My only background is like pharmacy and also like business development, all this. So secondly the first will be like timeline. Secondly, a bit difficult is because of very straightforward about salary. Because community-wise, you are more about business, so they are actually taught up together, your salary will add up with incentive as well. So a lot of industry, they will choose, other than they are choosing talent, they are actually also looking at their own budget one. So if your salary is very high, they will be a little bit difficult to actually match it. So actually, like, all is about timeline. You must give yourself a specific timeline for you when you want to explore different kind of area.
Within your FRP, what I'll say, so PRP, FRP is still fine. That's your 1-2 years, you gain experience. But after that, the following 2 years, 2-3 years after your FRP, I think are the most crucial. If you want to make the switch, normally people make the switch then. After that, not to say cannot, like say, like it just gets a lot harder. You need to adjust salary expectations. If you were 10 years in hospital, your salary is very high. If you go into MSL, you're going to be a junior. So
Yes.
they were like, can I pay you that high? Right? So okay, and obviously you also, I don't want to take a pay cut, right? So those are the things to consider lah. But PRP, FRP part, that first 2 years, I think it's not that big issue lah. Still okay.
Okay, thank you, Dr. Jason and Janice. So for our next, I'll direct this question to Manyan. So what's the CGPA that a student shall aim to have and maintain to increase their chances to get a PRP placement quickly, such as community or industry?
CGPA to aim? This is a hard question because I also kind of struggled with my own CGPA. So, of course, the best is to always aim high, but just try all the best you can, because to be honest, when you go out to the real world, CGPA is not the only thing that they look about. They also look at how your interviewing skills, your personality, your transferable skill sets, everything. So results is not one of it only, but of course it's also very important to have good grades. Yeah. Study hard, guys.
All right. I hope that Manyan's speech doesn't give so many stress.
I
on
cannot
all
remember
students.
here who is first class. I think Janice, only Janice and Raynard first class, the other two, but see all successful. So
Yes, true. Okay, so following next, I think I'll guide this to Isaac because he mentioned MSL. So does having some clinical experience in a hospital setting during PRP can give someone an upper hand if he or she is interested in being MSL? is this the kind of thing that the company will actually value or prefer?
Not entirely, because right, you will have to know the things that equips you well for the role. To just have an experience in the hospital setting doesn't necessarily equate you to being an MSL in the pharmaceutical industry, because you're competing with other applicants. Those applicants don't necessarily have an experience in the pharmaceutical industry. I mean, doesn't necessarily have the experience in a hospital setting, and they will definitely be able to get a job in MSL. But if you were to ask me particularly, do you think that you should go to that hospital career pathway before diving into the MSL role? You can, because it equips you in some ways whereby you are able to engage with doctors. You know their style, engage with them, and that is a good quality. And during the interview, as long as you mentioned that I am still engaging with these dermatologists in my previous workplace, I'm still having lunch with them, I'm having dinner with them. When I go back to Penang, I have dinner with them to catch up. These are the things that they like, because they realize that, well, there's no boundaries between you and the doctors, and that means that you're able to communicate well with them. And that is an essential skill, communication. The second part, of course, the clinical part of it, I think that is sort of, if you have that particular skill, is good. If you don't have, as long as you have the fundamentals of you being a pharmacy student, I think that it's more than sufficient already. Because I think as a pharmacy student, you'll be doing your CP2, you'll be doing your presentations, you'll be doing your justifications with all the necessary data and whatnot. I think that is the basis of everything. Also, it's also important to know that apart from working in a hospital, there are things in which the pharmaceutical industry can equip you with, as mentioned by Manyan. The exposure that you have in different roles, and the exposure that you have in a multinational company before diving to the MSRO in the pharmaceutical industry, it's very much crucial there. It has its own strong points, but I think ultimately find ways that you can equip yourself with to fit that MSL position.
Let me just add, so my advice to graduates especially is, it depends on the opportunities that come your way. So KKM, the hospital role, PRP is always there for you. You apply, you wait a few months, you're going to get it. In the meantime, what's wrong? Apply for the competitive roles, which are PRPs in industry MNCs. They are very competitive. If you are lucky, you get a good role, means you get a PRP in a big MNC. I personally think you should take it, because it's a very rare opportunity. If you don't get it, it's okay. You go to KKM, it's still, you can lead back to industry later. So whether you do it or not will depend on the opportunities that are, the doors that are open to you at that time, essentially.
Yeah, I think just to give an example as well, I realized that there are some who would definitely join a multinational company. They do sales first. When that PRP opportunity becomes vacant and they are able to get it, then that's just another path. So they join sales, do their PRP, then they become an MSL.
Yeah.
So that's another pathway you can actually consider.
Yeah, correct. So some, they join the multinational not as a PRP, but with the role, they take a contract role or whatever. With the what, I go inside, get my foot in the door, get to know people there, show my worth to them. So when the PRP comes, it's like, I'm good for it. Then yeah, the company will give it to them.
Okay, all right. Thank you, Dr. Jason and Isaac. So we have come to the final question, which I think this is the question that everyone most looking forward to. Can I roughly know the range of salary in industry?
Let me just broaden this question. Maybe for each participant, just say a number. For your discipline, junior role means, and senior role, give a range if you're comfortable. If you're not comfortable, say just pass. So means, I give you an example. If you are regulatory affairs, you are executive level. Means 2-3 years work experience, you just join regulatory. What's the range someone can expect? Versus obviously once you 5 to 10 years experience, you're going to be a manager, right, or senior. What is the range there? I think people want to know what roughly they'll be getting after a few years of work, and what is their ceiling. That is essentially the question.
So anyone would like to go first? Feel free to.
Maybe I start first. So as a regulatory affairs, maybe you can expect, I think depends on company also. So you can maybe expect about minimum 5 when you first join the industry. Then slowly, as you grow, you can expect maybe, but if you stay in the same company, the increment may be lesser. But if you got an opportunity to jump between companies, then the salary jump will be slightly higher lah. So once you reach the maybe managerial level, so probably you can expect about 5 figures. This is what I can share for now lah.
So maybe to save time, I can just summarize, then the others you can just nod if you agree. So after you finish your FRP, so means at least 2-3 years experience, if you join industry for whatever role at the executive level, junior, it's basically, I would say, between 5 to 7, around there, depending on your experience. Maybe some can go slightly higher, but I would say it's about there lah. You all agree or not? Means junior role, 2 to 3 years experience right out of graduation. First role in industry, 5 to 7. Fair? Isaac. Medical, some companies for medical pay higher.
Yep. But I think it's roughly around there.
Yep.
But I think depends on the role as well.
Yep,
For
correct.
sales, it requires you to have prior experiences in the industry for you to get a higher
Yep.
pay. Otherwise, after graduation or perhaps after leaving KKM, your basic pay, if I can just disclose it to you, I think it's going to be 3K, the basic. But the thing is, you'll have your bonuses and your commission as well. So that tops up it. And that
Yep.
equates roughly about 5 to 7 as well. Yeah.
Sales is totally different. Sales, some companies, if you do very well, you can go like even much higher than that. So I'm talking about the non-incentive based roles lah. So your regulatory and all that kind of thing. So then after that, like say, it's the manager level. Once you reach the manager level, then I think close to 5 figures, and there is normal lah, for the managers. But to that, I would say normally people need about close to 5 years experience in one particular role lah. Fair number, I would say, right? Okay, but once again, this really depends on company. How fast you get there really depends on, okay, KKM versus industry. The other thing is industry, it really depends how good you are compared to KKM time-based promotion. If you are good, you will climb faster. Also depends on opportunities, whether you jump companies or not. Unfortunately, the reality is that if you switch roles and jump companies, your increments and all will be slightly higher lah, compared to just staying in one role, unless you are very lucky lah. Okay. Anyone has anything to add to that? But beyond that, sky's the limit. If you can become a CEO or whatever, then you want managing director, then yeah, you want to drive your Rolls Royce or whatever, can also. Okay.
All right, thank you. Yeah.
I think since it's 10:20, Jating, maybe you can wrap us up lah.
Okay, sure. So gonna be a quick one. So this is the end of our sharing session. So and also Q&A session. So yeah, thank you everyone for actually joining us today. Even though it's slightly delayed, apologize on that. But hope you are still with us and hope you actually learned a lot from this sharing session. So before we end, we just take a quick group photo. So if you are comfortable, feel free to open your cam. It's your time to network, to let everyone to see your face. So maybe in the future you can meet them in the company. Yeah,
show
who
your
knows?
face.
Yeah.
So next time you go pizza, or if you end up in BI or whatever, then you see Isaac, like, hey, I'm your junior. Then from there, next time.
All right, so open your cam, guys. Open.
So while we are talking and opening, let me say the ending words lah. So first of all, thank you once again to all the alumni for taking the time and giving such a valuable insights. Thanks again to all the juniors for joining. I hope it at least shows you the diverse opportunities that are out there. So don't limit your mindset to, a pharmacy, I'm going to go to this particular role in patient care only. There's a lot out there. It's about finding what really suits you. And like Isaac all mentioned, your uni time is when you're supposed to explore to find out which one is the one you like, and also develop your skill set to suit whatever that role is. Okay, rest of you can open your cameras. We're going to take one group photo and then we can end the night.
Yep. All right, another 10-second countdown. Okay, so I'll be taking. Oh, okay. Wait. Okay, so 1, 2, 3. So voila. Second page. Okay. 1, 2, 3. All right, that's it. Okay, so yeah, thank you everyone once again. Hope you have a nice weekend and really learn a lot from this insightful sharing session. So maybe until we meet again, take care and goodbye. Thank you.
All right, thanks everyone. Have a good night and
Thank
have a good weekend.
you.
Right.
Dr. Jason.
Bye.
Right,
Bye-bye.
see,
Thank
so good to
you.
see you all. Bye bye.
Catch up again. Catch up.
Catch up
Bye.
again. Right, bye.
Bye.